What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. Today, we're doing a Drafters $1,000,002 best ball $20 draft here. We're trying to hit the bank here, and we got our good friend John with us. John, my man, how are we doing today?
Hey, doing great. Just finishing up work and starting to get into draft mode. And I have got a bunch of redrafts this weekend, next weekend, so it's perfect timing to get some warm up best balls in.
Yeah, it feels you can feel it like when it's like redraft season. It's like a different thing. You got to start prepping for it. And I would say right now, like the best ball season is like it's going so fast. Like everybody's doing the best ball drafts right now. And we're going to be doing the Drafters $1,000,002. First place in this one is the 300K Big Daddy here. No playoffs in this one, which is nice. And then I do want to shout out, they have some nice promos going on this weekend. They actually have, if you draft 5 teams in the $20 million lobby here, you're going to get 1 free ticket for the million starting on Monday. So if you draft 5 teams this weekend, you're going to get an extra ticket. They also have some really nice challenges for August. I know we're halfway through the month, but I know John's trying to hit, I think he's trying to hit the 10 teams in the 20 milli and get the $10 pick'em ticket as well. So maybe
definitely going for the 10. We'll see where I'm at the end of the month, but definitely feel like I can get to the 10.
So I hit the 20 today.
Nice.
I think this is my 21st of the month. So we're gonna get the 2 milli tickets and the 25 pick'em ticket. Hopefully gonna cash that pick'em ticket week 1 of the NFL season. Undecided on the 30. I might go for it. We'll see. I'm already at 21. I should probably just do it. But we shall see. We got Aiden in the chat room with us, my man. Hope you're doing well. We're going to have some fun drafting here. The draft is it's about halfway. It's about 7 to 12. So we'll get some people to fill this lobby here soon, and we'll get it going. But we got some preseason games tonight, John. Do you know what's happening in the preseason?
I am not paying attention. I haven't really taken a peek too much. But, yeah, I heard there were 2 games tonight, right?
2 games tonight. We're going to see some starter action for sure in the Panthers-Giants game. It sounds like Daniel Jones and the first-team offense are going to play. I'm not sure on Saquon Barkley, but it sounds like we're going to get a full quarter of Daniel Jones. And then the Panthers, I think they're going to give another 2 or 3 series for Bryce Young. Hopefully they look better than they did last weekend. I know Miles Sanders isn't playing tonight, but hopefully Bryce Young can get some offense moving the ball. And then the Bengals, obviously, Joe Burrow's not playing. I don't think we're seeing Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, probably not even Irv Smith. So it's going to be the Bengals' second unit playing the first half and probably their third unit playing the second half. And then we do get to see Desmond Ridder, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, though. So
Bijan will be fun, yeah.
I mean, if we get one Kyle Pitts, like, bomb for 40, 50 yards – that's going to be exciting. So I'm rooting for Desmond Ridder. I want the Falcons to be fun on offense. We're going to see – it sounded like 2 series, maybe 3, depending on how it goes for Ridder. We're going to see a little bit of that. And then Taylor Heineke is a decent backup QB, so he's going to come in and play the remaining of the second quarter. So we'll see some decent games tonight. I'm more excited about tomorrow's action because the game to watch – if you're going to watch one game tomorrow, it sounds like the Bills-Steelers is the one to watch. Josh Allen and company are going to play past the first quarter into the second quarter, it sounds like, and the Steelers are going to give their starters a good amount of run too. So that's the game that I'm keeping my eye on, as well as it's a Packers show. We're going to watch the Packers-Patriots and see what J-Love can do. But I don't know.
What time is that Packer one? Is that 7 p.m. tomorrow?
7 p.m. Central Time, yeah. So we'll get that going. Get that going tomorrow, and they said Jordan Love's going to get another 2 or 3 series in this one. So hopefully he collects some good numbers, and we come away feeling good about the Packers offense here. I do want to see the Bears and Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, A-Rich. That might be a fun one here. There's basically games on all day tomorrow. NFL Network's blasting a ton of them. We got Jags Lions tomorrow. Dolphins, Texans on NFL Network, and then they are pumping up the Bears, Colts, and then is there a nightcap? Cowboys, Seahawks as the nightcap. So there's literally football on from noon till midnight tomorrow night. So we're here, man. We're finally here. And you got a redraft draft tomorrow, keeper draft. What's your draft spot?
I have the 7th pick. And a lot of the first rounders are being kept. So I'm in it's I'm looking at like Nick Chubb.
Who's your keeper?
I'm keeping Rashad White in the ninth round.
Okay, that feels good.
Yeah, it's not that there's our dear friend Jesse is keeping Jamar Chase in the 4th, and our dear friend Jake is keeping Garrett Wilson in the 7th. So those are some of the better. Those are probably the 2 best values.
Did you have any close
yeah,
to Rashad White? Or was Rashad White the clear guy for you?
I had Trevor Lawrence, who I drafted really late last year.
Yeah.
But I think he was the ADP where we were using to determine our keeper draft spot. He was like super high. He was like ranked in the 50s. So
yeah.
So I was kind of choosing. I think I was choosing between Trevor in the 7th and Rashad in the 9th. It was a pretty tough decision, but I decided QBs usually fall in our draft, so I figured I'd try to
get him back.
Yeah, I figured I could get him back, or I could maybe get a different value. So we'll see how that goes for me.
Well, I do like the Nick Chubb start. I think Chubb, Rashad White will get you where you need to go. You just got to hammer receivers. But the draft's about to start in a minute. John Drew, the 3rd pick, Boss Nasty here. And I finally got the 12, man. I'm excited to be on the end.
Nice. I've been getting a lot of McCaffrey in my $20 drafts, so I might have to switch it up, even though he's almost always who I take at 3.
Yeah. I hate getting 3, 4, 5. You just basically got to mix in McCaffrey, Tyreek, and Kupp. Sometimes Kelsey when you're feeling it. Prefer being 1 or 2 because your decision's pretty much made for you with JJ or Chase. But at this point, we got to start diversifying. And this is your 10th milli. How many of the $3 are you up to?
I think I'm at like 37 or 38 on the $3.
Ooh. All right.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot more. I only did like.
Oh, I lost John. John will join back in a second. But the draft's about to start. We'll see what John does at the 3 spot. He's looking at probably Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp. I'm going to try and get John back in here. Send him another link just in case. But hey, if you guys are new to Drafters, I do have a Drafters promo code that you guys can use to sign up. I believe you get a free $20 when you do it. So there we go. There's John. He's dipping in, dipping out on us. All good? You can hear me?
Yes. So sorry about that. I just a little connection issue on my end, but I'm ready to draft. And worst case scenario, I'm getting McCaffrey or Chase. So.
Yeah. Speaking of Chase, we got Chase Brown hanging out with us today. We're doing the Drafters $20 $1,000,002 best ball contest, man. And Chase has got a draft tonight at 9 p.m. Wish me luck, dude. I'll hit you up after the show. We'll be helping you out for that for sure. But John's on the board here. Is it CMC? What do you got brewing?
It's just so difficult. It's just so difficult. I mean, I've I can't not take CMC. It's really hard not to.
So the reason why I usually go default CMC at 3 is because you're probably going to like the receivers when it comes back to you, and you're probably not going to love the running backs when it comes back to you. I think we're developing a clear top 6 class of running backs, and if you don't get one of them, you're feeling like you got to go the 0 RB route, right?
Yeah, I think what I've found in the best balls so far, mostly on Drafters, I don't know if this is totally true on other sites, but I'm finding in like rounds 6 and 7 and 8, I can get, if I want, I can get 3 running backs that I absolutely love. And so typically I love grabbing at least 1 or 2 running backs in the first like 4 rounds, but because I know I can get 3 guys I'm really comfortable starting in rank rounds 5, 6, 7, 8. I've been way more aggressive with receivers, Kelsey, or a QB, one of those top 4 QBs. So,
and because you're the 3rd overall pick, like your round 5 is an early 5th round pick, and that's like right in the Aaron Jones wheelhouse. Kenneth Walker's on the board for you. 6th round, you're probably gonna miss on Madison, Pierce, but you're gonna probably have a shot at Sanders, Javonte, Cam Akers, James Cook. So we'll see what happens here, but At this point, the way that I've been telling people on my YouTube channel is you want CMC, you want Eckler, Bijan, Chubb, Barkley, or Pollard. Those are the clear top 6 guys that I'm looking at that I would like to have one of them in the first 2 rounds.
Agreed, 100%. Yeah, and I really like Bijan. I mean, I actually really thought hard across McCaffrey, Eckler, and Bijan at 3 there. I gave them all a fair, 10 seconds of thought. But it's, like I said, hard to go against McCaffrey. What are you doing at the turn here?
Nick Chubb goes 10th overall. That's a bit of surprise. I'll tell you what, John, I've been buying the Amon-Ra St. Brown dip. It's kind of funny. Whenever a player gets a red question mark on his name, he tends to dip. He goes 11th, so fair enough. But a week ago, Amon-Ra St. Brown was dabbling in the 9-10, so he was a gift at 12. I think for me, I'm going to like the running backs when it comes back to 36 and 37. We'll talk about that when it comes back. But A.J. Brown and CeeDee Lamb, man, we got marks too, right? Like,
I love that so much.
I would love to get Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard. I'm kind of going against what I advise people. I would love to grab one of these running backs, but I think CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown, man, like these guys are slam dunk receivers. And just from what I've seen today in the best ball streets is I'm going to like what's there at 36, 37. So I'm going to grab CD, A.J. Brown. Obviously, I'm not going to get Jalen Hurts on the way back or Devonta Smith, but we can line up in maybe a Dallas stack here. We got Chase in the chat saying he's got the 107 in a 12-team double flex full PPR, aiming for Kupp or Hill or Kelsey. That's probably what you're looking at there. John, any other names to throw in there at the 7 besides Kupp, Hill, Kelsey?
Eckler for sure, right? I mean, I don't know. I think you want to think about Eckler there.
So I think it really depends. I think in a best ball, like Eckler sometimes slides to the middle to the back end of the first round. I would think in a redraft, he's probably a top 5 lock. But
there's so many top guys though.
Yeah.
I think he could, if he falls, he's one of those guys. Like he should go 4 or 5 probably, right, in a redraft in most formats. But if he falls, I want him at 7.
So you're on the clock here, man. You missed the wide receiver run. This is what are you going to do into your head?
Well, I think there's still one receiver here that I really like.
Yeah,
I'll take him.
And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. T. Higgins at wide receiver 14, I do like. Calvin Ridley, though, man, he's crashing the second round. Crazy.
No, I love him in the beginning of the third. I hate him at the end of the second. It's crazy how that works.
We got a Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson sighting.
Yes, very interesting.
Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen both still on the board. Lamar goes QB2. Nobody wants to click Derrick Henry, man.
Well, I like Henry a lot. I've already got a running back, and this is a time to get as many receivers as you can.
Chase says he might get Eckler. His league is wide receiver heavy. I think it's just the times this year, man. Everybody, I mean, just look at how many 1, 2, 3, 4 running backs in the first round of this draft. In the past, it's usually been flipped where it's 7 or 8 running backs.
Just it's all yellow on this draft board right now.
Would you say, John, that like right now the wide receiver run ends with Keenan Allen, and then we have a drop off to the next group, or is there anybody else you want to put in that next group of I guess in the Keenan Allen, DK Metcalf, Ridley tier?
No, I tend to agree. I think this is your like group of guys who theoretically at the beginning of the season right now people think of a shot at like a top receiver 10, receiver 12 finish, a true fantasy receiver 1.
Correct. So Keenan Allen, I think, is wide receiver 15, 16, 17 wide receivers off the board in the first 27 picks. I think
that tells you everything you need to know. 17 out of 27. That's insane, isn't it?
I think all 17 of those guys have legit opportunities to finish as a wide receiver 1 this year. So I get it. To me, I mean, Deebo Samuel looks like a wide receiver 2. To me, I think Amari Cooper as well, probably Jerry Jeudy.
Cooper is definitely a 2 to me.
Right. So these guys just don't have the upper ceiling that we're looking for. But man, oh man, remember when I said I'm going to like the running backs when it comes back around here?
Yeah. You got them all. When's the last time you saw Gibbs fall this far?
Well, I'm holding my breath, man. I'm holding my breath because if I get
you got sniped. This guy sniped you before.
He's got St. Brown on the team. He should take Gibbs, and we get Jahmyr Gibbs.
Wow, he took the running back you probably weren't going to take.
Lately, dude, I've been clicking Josh Jacobs. This last week, I've been clicking the Josh Jacobs, and I've also been clicking Ramondre Stevenson because this is the cheap.
I've been grabbing a lot of Ramondre back here, at the 3-4 turn.
Seen both guys, and John, like next week, if Josh Jacobs reports to camp, what are we going to be doing with Josh Jacobs in our drafts?
If what happens?
Say Josh Jacobs reports to camp next week. What are we doing with him?
Oh, I was grabbing him at the 2-3 turn when I thought he was healthy and going to play like not even a month ago.
Yep.
So I think, he finished as RB1 last year, did he not? Or
I believe it was either him or Eckler.
Oh, I think it was Eckler. But either way, he finished as a top 2, 3, 4, 5 running back last year. I think everything theoretically in my mind is in place for that to happen again. Though the Derek Carr downgrade to Jimmy G maybe, could hold that back a little bit, but I don't think that's enough of a change, especially when Devontae's there to take pressure off. I just think there's enough distractions on that offense to let him be good.
All right, we got Al Boogie 78 in the chat with us. He's also drafting from the 5 spot. He's got Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle, and he got the sliding Derrick Henry at 29, which looks pretty nice. So I like his start so far. And Jalen Waddle, I've noticed, has been dipping too because he got the shot on the ribs not too long ago. But before that injury, I've seen Jalen Waddle dabble up in the second round or early part of the second round. So I like Al Boogie's start.
This person's in the he's in our chat.
Yeah, he's hanging out with us. He's
nice, dude. Oh, I love his team. Yeah, I think I mentioned I was considering Henry, but I wanted to get that last receiver 1 type.
Yeah,
but I love his team too.
I mean, third round Derrick Henry always looks pretty good, and he did go 2 receivers. So we'll see what Al does here. I did grab Ramondre Stevenson. I was very torn. I kind of wanted Jerry Jeudy as my wide receiver 3. Al grabs DJ Moore. We'll see if he can get Justin Fields on the comeback. We'll see if he can get that. But John,
very grateful to you, Al, because I'm hoping for Christian Watson. So I'm really hoping here.
Well, you got 2 of your favorite Christians.
Oh, sugar.
So I'm just gonna say, whenever I say a player's name, like a spot or 2 before I go, it's a voodoo. It just happens to always be the pick.
Tough one.
I never have
love Christian Kirk. It's so easy. I'm just gonna go with my gut.
So Christian Kirk's been dipping a lot this past week. I've seen it, and a lot of people are reading into that preseason game from week 1, where basically Christian Kirk was not on the field in 2 wide receiver sets. They were running Zay Jones and Calvin Ridley in 2 wide receiver sets. Whenever it was 3 wide receiver sets, that's when Christian Kirk would enter. So that's something to monitor. I'm hoping that changes this weekend, and then everybody's going to look silly for letting Christian Kirk fall into the 5th round sometimes. But I've noticed Kirk falling. I'm hoping we get some clarity on that in the week 2 of the preseason. But I still love Christian Kirk. And when you pencil him in as your wide receiver 3, I think that looks pretty damn good. So Drake London, Terry McLaurin, what are we? You can pretty much do whatever you want at this pick, John. Take us through what you're setting up here.
Herbert, I'm hoping to stack Allen and Herbert. Though I guess I've got kind of 2 stacks. I haven't really considered the Burrow stack.
You got ETN too?
What's that? You
got ETN, Burrow, and Herbert available.
I think
and Ayuk.
Yeah, I think I'm going Herbert. I like I really like Joe Burrow, and that's one of the best offenses that you could ever imagine. But I like this Chargers offense a lot this year. I think it's got the chance to be the number 1 offense in the league.
So Al he sets up the DJ Moore, Justin Fields stack like a pro.
Nice work, Al.
That's just icing on the cake, because when you set up DJ Moore, usually somebody else isn't going to take DJ Moore, and then when you see this guy's got Hurts, Lamar, John Tooks, Herbert, it's really easy to get Justin Fields here. So nice setup there, Al. I really like the 5-4 turn, John. The 2-3 turn's kind of treacherous at times, but the 4-5, I mean, you get really good receivers to look from. You can look at Herbert, Fields, and sometimes you get the ETN, Aaron Jones to fall. That's a really sweet spot.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always some position that falls. Felt like there was some really good receivers this time around. Like DJ Moore and Christian Watson don't always make it to the end of the fourth, I feel.
Joe Burrow, dude, end of the 6th round. I don't have any stacking available. I don't want to do it, but that's notable. I think the board's presenting me a Seattle stack here, whether it's Kenneth Walker, JSN, Tyler Lockett. I'm going to grab JSN as the one guy that I think in best ball is going to continue to just improve over the season. Are we in on Tyler Lockett?
Lockett was one of the best receivers in the game last year, so it's hard to be out of him. But yeah, there's a lot of mouths to feed there.
So I've got me and Jesse were talking about this on the side, but Lockett was wide receiver 13 last year, dude. He's really freaking good. He's really good. And I know JSN's really good too, but I don't see why Seattle can't be one of the top 5, top 10 offenses this year. And the other thing too is Tyler Lockett just got married this summer. Did you know Lockett was a hashtag virgin before his marriage?
No, I did not.
So Tyler Lockett just had sex, man, and now he's set up to have the best season of his career. So I'm liking the Tyler Lockett round 6 dip right now. And then every Wednesday I update my ADP on my website, and this was the first week that JSN has hopped Tyler Lockett on drafters. Well, I'll let you talk about what's going on here, but I'm just curious on your thoughts of who you'd rather have, JSN or Lockett, in the long run of the season.
Just for redraft or best ball?
You can do both. If the takes are different, yeah.
Well, I think the takes are the same. I think it's probably
right.
For me, it is.
Ooh.
I don't know. It's really tough. I just think Lockett is going to be the guy coming out. But I also assume JSN could take over. So I'm going to say Lockett because I just feel like it's a little more guaranteed. But JSN is ridiculously special.
All right. What do you got here? 10 seconds left.
Yeah, I'm going to take Cam Akers. He's one of the running backs I like the most. I typically try to target like J.K. Dobbins around here, but somebody sniped him.
Yeah, I've noticed. Well, it's so stupid, man. J.K. Dobbins was an 8th round pick 2 days ago. He reports to camp off the PUP list, and now he's right back up into the 6th round. So I hope you guys all enjoyed the Dobbins dip. What's going through your mind here? Quentin, you just keep stacking the Herbert. Let's see what Al Boogie does here. He did grab, dude. I don't know what your thoughts are on Marquise Brown, John, but I've been buying him a lot in the 6th round. It just seems too cheap for a wide receiver 1.
I love Marquise Brown. He's one of those guys who was built in a lab for best ball.
Right. And my thing with Marquise Brown is like I was looking at his numbers from last year, and before DeAndre Hopkins got in the mix, so like weeks 1 through 6, like Marquise Brown was a baller. 14, 12.8, 28, 20.8, 21.8, 11.8. He gets hurt, comes back, and he's kind of like a borderline wide receiver 3 flex the rest of the way with a healthy D-Hop, but no D-Hop, he was the baller. And either way, like Clayton Tune, Colt McCoy, he's their number 1 target. So at that point, I think that's a good pick by Al. And then he collects Kyle Pitts here. So I like what Al's doing. And yeah, he's going for the upside. Dude, we were talking before. I don't know if you're in here yet, but if Kyle Pitts makes say he catches a 40-yard touchdown tonight, John, where are we drafting Kyle Pitts tomorrow?
Ahead of Kittle and Goddard. And I think
next.
Yeah, you have. I think you have 4 tight ends who are being drafted in the fifth and 6th round, and it's just like pick your poison. Which one do you like?
Yeah. I'm on the board here. I love this board at 7-8. Like Miles Sanders is dipping hard, but I don't like the groin injury right now. I love Zay Flowers, but I don't have anything Baltimore stacked up. I'm gonna collect Brandon Cooks to be my wide receiver 5, and I have 2 receivers. And then. I could get David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs and just feel pretty good about my running back spot. I'd have Gibbs, Ramondre, and Montgomery here. So that's probably where I'm going to go. But like Zay Flowers he's been so easy to click lately. I don't know how often you've been drafting Zay Flowers, John, but I love getting, especially in the 8th round. He's really rare to get this late, but 7th round is usually where he goes. But
yeah, I end up taking Zay if he falls into this area. Like I notice I'll grab him at like 90 or above pretty much religiously. Yeah. In the 80s, it gets a little tougher because I think I like Elijah Moore a little more than him. I think I like Brandon Cooks a little more than him. I certainly like Dotson more. Sutton is a kind of a coin flip. Sky Moore is kind of a coin flip. So some of those receivers in that same range I like more, or coin flip. So
I'm a really big fan of the 8th round.
Yeah.
It's got some like potential league winners here. I mean, I took Montgomery at the top of the 8th. Deshaun Watson's been falling. He's been getting a lot of flack on Twitter. That's probably the highest I've seen Sky Moore go, but Elijah Moore, another good bullet. Alvin Kamara, there goes Zay Flowers. That's probably the latest I've seen him go. And this is for sure the latest I've seen Miles Sanders go. We'll see what Al Boogie here does, and then we'll hand it off to John for pick number 94.
I've gotten Zay Flowers at like 103 before.
Yeah, I mean,
but that was a one-time thing. I've gotten him in the 90s though more than once.
I remember Zay Flowers was probably like a 10th round pick maybe a month ago, which was really nice. But he's completely before Rashad Bateman was being the first Ravens receiver drafted, and then all that has kind of flip-flopped. And take me through the Brian Robinson pick. He's one of my favorite picks right now.
I really like him. I think he's he had such a weird situation last year when he, recovering from a leg injury to start the year that was so kind of freak accident, and then turns into a really good player down the stretch. And he's got a lot of things you're looking for, and I think that Washington offense is going to be competent. So
it's Eric Bieniemy, man. He's kind of he's going to lift all tides kind of thing. And dude, like Brian Robinson consistently goes in the top 100 now, and so does Nico Collins now, which is one of the fellowship favorites here. Just give the people a Nico Collins spiel real quick.
Well, he's making highlight plays every other day at camp right now. So, if that offense is competent, I think he's going to, put up receiver 3, receiver 4 flex numbers. So,
true or false? Nico Collins was made for best ball.
I would say false. I'm not sure he's quite the big play guy that like a Watson or like a Hollywood Brown are. Maybe he's like, a poor man's version of that, maybe, but I think he's a little more possession-y of a receiver. He's more like I don't know.
I do want to get to Chase's question on Roschon Johnson, but then Al took a falling Treylon Burks, which I'm not moving Treylon Burks off this LCL injury that he suffered. I still think he's a top 50 wide receiver. He's kind of being drafted in that wide receiver 45 to 50 range. So I'm still in on Treylon Burks. I don't care about the injury. But with Roschon Johnson, he started getting reps with the ones this week. Khalil Herbert, obviously, one freaking screen touchdown for 50 whatever yards just vaults him into the 8th round now. The dude was a 120th overall ADP 2 weeks ago. But John, have you been I guess what do you know about Roschon Johnson? Have you been clicking Roschon?
Wait, he was drafted in the 8th round in this draft?
96, yeah, that's the highest I've seen him go.
Wait.
I'm frustrated.
Oh, that's Khalil Herbert at 96.
My bad, Khalil Herbert, yep.
Yeah, well, I think Khalil Herbert is a good football player, and I think this is a reasonable range to draft him. I mean, he's probably going to start the year as RB1 for Chicago, and that's a run-oriented offense more than less. So I think he deserves to be drafted as like a RB2 flex.
So I'm sold on Khalil Herbert. I think he's just being drafted a little too high right now. But Roschon Johnson's a guy that I've been clicking him a lot lately. I think he is the best pass catching back that the Bears have. And his biggest ticket to getting on the field is his pass protection, and it sounds like he is holding up in pass pro. So it's kind of like it's not quite the same as like JSN Lockett, but I think you're going to see Roschon slowly begin to be on the field more and more and more as the season progresses here. So I think Herbert's one of those guys that makes a ton of sense early in the season, but Roschon Johnson could be the guy you need, down the fantasy playoff stretch here. Let's see what Al Boogie does, and then John, take us through pick 118.
I'm hoping for. Well, I don't want to say it and then have Boogie snipe me. No, there's a lot of guys. This board is so sexy. I mean, just like you said, round 8 is kind of fun. Look at round 10. I mean, I'm staring at Anthony Richardson and Freiermuth as the top 2 guys. Like, I want both of them desperately.
Chase has a great question on the board here, and I don't know why he's falling right now. Which rookie QB has impressed you the most that could be a sleeper this year? It's Anthony Richardson, and to me, it's not even close. They've already named him the starter week 1, and that shouldn't have happened. The dude's probably going to average 16 to 18 fantasy points per game right off the bat, and I'm feeling like Richardson, a lot of people are not excited about him passing the ball, but from what I've seen throughout training camp is he is competent. He's making good throws, and he's giving his guys chances to catch the ball. He's got a deep threat in Alec Pierce. He's got a go-to receiver in Michael Pittman Jr., and then he's got an underneath receiver in Isaiah McKenzie, and he's got like 3 tight ends that are like 6'7". So I think it's Anthony Richardson. The absence of Jonathan Taylor makes me like him even more for fantasy. And at 119 here, round 10 to be your QB2 in a best ball, like I went and did the digging on Tim Tebow's season of 2011 where he started like 11 games, and the dude averaged 18 fantasy points per game. And Tim Tebow can't hit the water, falling out of a boat. So Richardson is the guy that impresses me the most as a rookie QB. I think CJ Stroud and Bryce Young have a ways to go. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, John.
Well, I definitely agree. I mean, it seems like they're all, they all have some notable deficiencies. It's just Anthony Richardson is so good, he makes up for it because he's such a freak of nature.
Yep.
Sorry, I need to.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Al Boogie with the second-year Pickett, I think could hit. It sounds like, just reading everything out of Steelers camp right now, it sounds really good. And like I have a soft spot for the Steelers. I mean, I grew up watching football with my dad. My dad always loved the Steelers. Always the Packers first, but the Steelers would probably be his number 2 team. And I think last year, the fact that the Steelers went 9-8 with Pickett and Mitch Trubisky, that's pretty amazing. And everything that we're seeing out of camp right now is really promising. I mean, you got Najee and Jaylen Warren in the backfield. You got Deontay, George Pickens, who's making play. George Pickens makes a highlight play every day. Holy shit. Ezekiel Elliott, round 11 drink. But I'm with you, Al Boogie. The Steelers, man, that's probably been the team that I've drafted the most because I think they're very appropriately priced, and it's really easy to acquire Steeler stacks. I don't know if John has anything to add to that, but I love Steeler stacks.
No, I've been doing the same thing. I mean, I was really hurt because I got sniped on Pat Freiermuth here. One thing I really like doing is like a super cheapo. You get Deontay or Pickens, you get Freiermuth, you get Pickett, and then sometimes I love grabbing like Calvin Austin at the end of drafts. Yeah. Like they have a lot of, like you said, really well priced guys, but the guys are actually like in that price range, the guys you want. So
I'm on the board here. I got sniped on Dak Prescott back in the 9th round here, but I'm still banging out my I have the entire Dallas receiver core, so that's cool. I'm just going to collect Kenneth Gainwell here, my RB5. I like my running back group, John. Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre, Montgomery, Charbonnet, and Kenneth Gainwell. That seems like a pretty sturdy group.
I feel similar. I have a similar opinion of my running back room. I have McCaffrey, Akers, Robinson, and Bigsby.
Let's do a recap for the audio listeners here. John, starting from the 3-hole, top down for him from his roster, he's got Justin Herbert, Christian McCaffrey, Cam Akers, Brian Robinson, and Tank Bigsby. So 4 running backs. He's got 6 wide receivers: T. Higgins, Keenan Allen, Christian Kirk, Quentin Johnston, Nico Collins, and Zay Jones. So he's got a little bit of a Jacksonville, a little bit of a Charger thing going. It's looking good. And let's see. On my end here, I started in the 12 spot. My QB is Geno Smith. My running backs, I have 5 of them: Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre, David Montgomery, Zach Charbonnet, and Kenneth Gainwell. My receivers are A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, JSN, Tyler Lockett, Brandon Cooks, and Michael Gallup. So I got all 3 Dallas receivers. I have 2 of the Seattle receivers mixed with A.J. Brown. I'm very heavy in the Seattle stack, so I like how it's brewing here. And we'll see what Al Boogie does here from the 5. And Al's got a good comment here. He got sniped on Jalen. Dude, Jalen Warren has been one of the hardest guys to draft since that preseason game week 1. I don't know if you're very high on Jalen Warren, John, but dude's one of my top most drafted running backs right now. We used to get him for free in the 11th, 12th round, and now he is a fringe 10th round pick. He's probably going to be in the 9th round. He's going to flirt with the 9th round at some point soon.
Yeah, I like
Yeah, and someone stole Al's Mooney here at 139, just one spot before here. But he collects Rashee Rice, which for some reason, I don't know, Al, I don't know why Rashee Rice is falling. 2 weeks ago, Rashee Rice was being pushed up into the 120s, but you get a nice falling Rashee Rice. I don't know if you have any other Chiefs, but Rashee Rice is a nice rookie bet. And then John grabs Tyler Higbee. Tell us about Higbee. Or I guess
I needed a tight end. I've let the position slide. I was between him, Cole Kmet, Dulcich, and Chig. Probably wanted Chig the most, but I think I have of all those guys the least amount of shares of Higbee. So I figured I'll just try a little dance in the Higbee pool.
I need to draft more Higbee because in my projections he's like tight end 12 or 13. Like he's just a guy that's going to get a lot of volume, and I think he's probably the number 2 target on the Rams by the end of the season. And John does grab Roschon Johnson, which I absolutely love, followed by Jordan Love. You're starting to fill out your running back room, which feels pretty good now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have 2 of the rookies I think that are really fun and really cheap. Or not really cheap, but cheaper. Tank Bigsby and Roschon Johnson. So I'm feeling, and then on top of that, I have a pretty good, top 3. Theoretically could have 2 starters and a flex out of this group most weeks. So, yeah, feeling pretty good about the running back room. I like Roschon Johnson too. I mean, you mentioned he might be the best. He's probably the best pass catcher at the position group. I also think he's the best pass blocker in the position room. And for a rookie, that's not always
right
an unusual thing to be good at as a rookie. I think he's also like the most versatile. I mean, he's a good pass catcher, but he's also like a strong-bodied man and can run people over. He's recently was quoted saying, "I use my body as a weapon" or something like that. So, I mean, he's got an interesting mentality. He's got an interesting, opportunity. Like we said, Khalil Herbert is kind of starting the year as the RB1, but I don't know how much faith do you have in Khalil Herbert. He's not like a world beater.
John, the $1 million question that I've been asking myself, especially the last week or two doing these best balls, is when I'm making a pick, is this a player I want a team for the fantasy football playoffs? And I think Roschon Johnson qualifies for that list.
100%. I love Roschon. I think the upside of Roschon is the second half of the season, right? I mean, no disrespect to Deontay Foreman, but he's, certainly is one of those guys who's been injured a lot in his career. And I'll let you make picks here. Sorry, please tell us.
I don't love the board here. It's pretty ugly. I grabbed Derek Carr, who is falling past ADP. I'm going to try and align some of the tight ends on the back end there. Alec Pierce is a guy I've been clicking a lot. I'm pretty solid at wide receiver though. There's really nobody else that I love here. So I'm gonna reach a little. I'm gonna live a little. I'm gonna get my tight end 1, Jake Ferguson, and just get all the Dallas targets. We got CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, and Jake Ferg. Screw you to Hoopty Man. with the 15 drafts, taking a naked Dak Prescott round 9. That was, but guess what? You're not getting any of Dak's targets. So there it is.
Hey, you got to stand. You got to take a stand.
Yeah, dude. I have Jake Ferguson as my tight end 12 in the projections right now. So I think he's severely mispriced. He continues to be mispriced. I will continue drafting him. And I think this is probably the earliest you're ever going to see him go. But I have seen him go in the end of the 14th round, and I just didn't trust anybody here to let him come through.
Where do you have Chig? Where's Chig on your tight end list?
Chig's like tight end 16, 17. He's right there. He's like one of those ideal guys you get as your tight end 2 in a redraft league. Right. But we got a question here from Chase saying, which Cardinals wide receiver y'all like the most this season and can make the most noise besides Marquise Brown? Do you have any quick takes on that, John?
I mean, you have a lot of really good lottery tickets in that receiving room. Yeah. I think Rondale Moore is another one of these human beings who is probably designed in a lab for best ball.
I know where this answer is going, John. I know where it's going. Keep going.
I think Greg Dortch has actually put up useful fantasy weeks in his career, which, there's some people in the NFL who can't say that. And then, can you tell him about Mike Wilson while I make a pick here?
Michael Wilson, rookie receiver out of Stanford. He's the biggest wide receiver on the team. The Cardinals lack size. You talk about Marquise Brown, Greg Dortch, Rondale Moore. These guys are all like prototypical small speedsters, sometimes slot receivers that they want to get the ball to in space. But Michael Wilson is your prototypical starting X receiver outside. The only competition for him at that X role is Zach Pascal, who's been on 3 or 4 teams in the last 3 or 4 years. And Michael Wilson's he's another guy that's been making plays every other day in training camp. There's a video of Michael Wilson doing something nice. And they're giving him as many opportunities as he can for reps with the ones. The dude, 2 weeks ago, John, was he a 20th round pick?
Yeah, if he was even getting drafted at all, yes.
Yeah.
But 20th round, yes. Most consistently in the 20th.
He goes now. I'm going to put my money on round 17, something in that range. I think he's going to go.
Absolutely.
The dark horse money is probably on Michael Wilson. Greg Dortch is a sleeper, but I think he requires an injury to Marquise or Rondale Moore to make some noise. But you got your Tito Okonkwo, man. You got your tight end 2 Okonkwo, which feels pretty nice. And then I did see Al Boogie complete the Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford stack. And I don't know how many times you've drafted Cooper Kupp in the best balls, John, but it's so easy. When you get Kupp, it just feels so nice that, like, I'm going to get Matt Stafford round 15, 16, and it feels pretty good.
Yeah, you have to, right? You're making that – when you take Kupp, you're making that massive investment in the Rams offense. And so, yeah, connecting him with Stafford, I mean, it's just – especially if Stafford's like your QB2, which is the case for Boogie, right, for Al.
Yeah.
He absolutely killed it. Like, that's just really good execution, getting your – that stack of that value, and especially with where Stafford falls.
I created a really nice LA Rams Pittsburgh Steelers stack that I think Al would appreciate because he mentioned liking Kenny Pickett. But I literally got everything on the Steelers and pretty much everything on the Rams on a team earlier this afternoon. And it looks gross, but I think the Rams and the Steelers are both teams that could overplay expectation this year, and they're all affordably priced. So I think both teams are pretty fun. I have noted Sam Howell at 174, man. He's moving up boards. He got named starter today. Did you see that?
Yes. And I saw he had a bomb of a throw to Terry McLaurin today, too.
Yeah. The Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson highlights have been pretty steady the past week or so.
And Terry McLaurin highlights have been steady his entire professional career.
So, dude, I need tight end. I think I played this pretty well. I did grab Jake Ferguson to complete my Dallas stack, but what I did before was I set up Derek Carr to be my QB2. And if you look at the top players on the board here, like Purdy, Irv Smith, but I do have Taysom Hill and Juwan Johnson available here for that Saints stack. I'm gonna grab Juwan because dude made preseason the other day. He's the de facto receiving tight end for Derek Carr, so that feels pretty good. John, do I take Taysom Hill here?
I love Taysom Hill, like 15th round and later. It's just like
He's
it's hard to argue anyone else is going to score more than him right now.
he's the perfect best ball tight end.
He really is. He's
Um,
also not a tight end. He is, but he isn't. He's like a positionless player, and we're all just very fortunate to live in a world where they put him at tight end, so we can fill a position that we always sometimes forget to fill.
no, it's literally the shittiest position in fantasy football, and I know Taysom Hill is going to throw a touchdown or two this year. I know he's going to run for 4, maybe 5, and he might even catch 1 or 2. The dude's probably going to end up scoring a combined 8 or 9 touchdowns at some point this year. He's going to start 8 or 9 games for me as my tight end. And I don't know how often you've been drafting the Saints, but I find the Saints, again, like the Rams, like the Steelers, the Saints are very, very stackable. And I enjoy my teams when I get, and especially because you can kind of get the Saints as like a secondary stack. You can have your primary stack in the top like 8 rounds, but it's so easy to just grab a Saints stack at the end.
Yeah. Well, I grab a lot of Olave in the second round, I find. So, I've been taking Saint stacks all year. I think Carr has maybe the best offense, like the most weapons he's ever had in his career, you could argue. Like,
For sure. As long as Michael Thomas stays healthy, they get Rashid Shaheed back, which was a nice pick there. I really like it. And especially Derek Carr needs pass catching backs to keep the offense on track, and he's got that. So Tank Dell, man, talk about cheap Houston stacks. Are you setting something up here, John?
I don't want to jinx it.
You do?
I am intending to take CJ Stroud at 195.
So I don't get it, but CJ Stroud has been the biggest faller in QB ADP the last few days. The dude went undrafted in one of my drafts today. In a 20-round draft, CJ Stroud did not get picked, and I was like, my jaw dropped because I just had too many QBs. I didn't do it, but I'm just like, what the hell? And yeah, Al Boogie makes a good point. They have Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams will get some goal line work, but yeah, when they get in the red zone, I think Taysom Hill, man, he's gonna be getting those first and goal looks. And John does complete the sexy Tank Dell, CJ Stroud, Nico Collins stack.
And I was 1 away. I got sniped. I actually got sniped twice in round 10. I was going to take Freiermuth, and he was taking 1 pick away.
Yep.
And then in round 11, I was going to take Dalton Schultz. I was really excited for Dalton Schultz because I don't have much Schultz, so I was like, I really wanted that big Houston stack, but it's hard, dude. It's hard to stack in the $20.
So everyone's a little bit sharper in the $20 draft. But what I like about the Texans is like you can legit build out that Texan stack. You don't need Dameon Pierce in the Texan stack, but like round 9, if you get Nico Collins, you can be like, okay, I'm going to try and get Dalton Schultz in a round or 2. I'm going to try and get Tank Dell. I think Tank Dell is the clear number 2 guy for me after Nico. I don't know how you would rank them, John, but I would rank them as Nico, Tank, Woods, Mechie. Do you agree for receivers?
Tank Dell is absolutely. I mean, he's flying up draft boards. I mean, who cares what we think? The world seems to think Tank Dell is the number 2 there. But yeah, Mechie and him were drafted right next to each other. I think people are kind of flipping coins, But I think Dell is a fast riser. I mean, he was, another guy like 2-3 weeks ago, he was, getting drafted around 19, 20, or sometimes going undrafted. And now he's, I don't know, for a back end receiver, he's flying up this draft board.
Nobody wants Kyler Murray. Him and CJ Stroud are the biggest fallers at QB. I'll take Kyler Murray, and then I'm gonna get our boy here. It's Michael Wilson, dude. My wide receiver 7, Kyler Murray stack.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm sure you're gonna clean up the back end of my stack there, but Kyler Murray.
I'm done with tight end. I don't need the other one.
It's dude. We should be buying all of the fucking Trey McBride right now. It is disgusting.
The only thing stopping it for me typically is that I'm often buying Musgrave, and he's kind of my new TE2, TE3, and I don't really care anymore.
But so, John, every week every Wednesday on my website, I go through Drafters, Underdog, and DraftKings, and I look at the last 7 days and I update the ADP risers and fallers. Tank Dell, it took one preseason game for him to jump 2 rounds.
Yeah.
He was the highest riser on Drafters, but you also got Luke Musgrave, Gainwell, Jay Ferg, Michael Wilson. Again, this is a free resource for you guys if you want to check it out on the fantasyfellowship.com. It's all there. Just hover over the content page. You guys can click into Drafters, Underdog, DraftKings, whatever you need. And then the fallers, a lot of fallers on here. I don't know if anything interested, but CJ Stroud is on the list. And shout out to Al Boogie, though. This is his first $20 draft.
Love it.
We'll grade everybody's draft at the end here. We'll grade John's, Al's, and mine. But I think Al's been putting in some good work here.
Absolutely killing it, I think. For your first one, it's a great one. Oof, I really wanted Josh Downs there, actually.
So why are the rookie QBs falling? Stroud, Bryce Young. I don't know why Kyler Murray's falling. There's been no news on these guys. Like CJ Stroud got named the starter. Like it literally makes no sense. But you get the Ryan Tannehill, Chigo Okonkwo stack, you dirty man.
Yeah, I think the Titans have a lot of good pass catchers, so I'm hoping that's a decent QB room for me. A couple stacks. I had a nice Chargers stack. I had a nice Houston stack. If you're into Houston,
Houston's just so affordable, man, and they're going to be losing games. They're going to be CJ Stroud's. Yeah, he's going to break some eggs, but he's making omelets. You know, he's going to be scoring a touchdown or 2 per game. He's going to hopefully do a little bit more with his legs than we saw in college. But Calvin Austin. He's been probably my favorite pick over the last 3-4 days, especially this late. It just doesn't make sense. Like Calvin Austin, he's the number 4 on the Steelers. He's going to probably push Allen Robinson for snaps at the slot, and he's a guy that they want to get the ball to in space, so he could rack up 2, 3, 4 catches really quickly.
Yeah, I think my team turned out pretty good, Cal.
We got the 20th round here. Are you familiar with the fantasy footballers, John?
Yes, I'm familiar with them.
So they put out their My Guys episode today. I don't normally listen to the fantasy footballers, but I checked out their show today. Do you want to give a list of 2, 3, 4 guys that are going to be your guys for this year that you want to let the people know that you should think about them on your team this year?
Yeah, do you want to talk about your picks first, or
no? You go ahead, man. I'm gonna clean up house here.
Just take out the trash quick. Yeah, I can talk about that. I think one guy for me is Nico, probably.
Nico.
But I'm not necessarily taking him above ADP though right now. So I mean, like at round 9 value, I think Nico is good value. He's someone I have a lot of. I guess Rashawn Johnson is probably one. Luke Musgrave is definitely one for me at this point. I think Trey McBride is definitely one for me as well.
What about guys like in the top 8 rounds or so? Like, guys that we're going to be paying a good amount of draft capital for.
Amon-Ra, Bijan, Chubb. Those are guys I take with so much confidence.
Yeah.
At the end of the first round, beginning of the second round, I'd be so happy to have any of those guys.
Yep.
I think Chase is probably my 1-1 this year over Jefferson. I mean, okay. I think Jefferson's number 2. I don't know how crazy that is, but I really like Chase. I mean,
I know a lot of people are scared.
He's the number 2 overall guy.
A lot of people are kind of nervous about Burrow's calf injury, but he's had a month and a half to heal. He'll be fine.
What about you, Kyle? Who are your guys?
Let's see. The draft end? Or are we still moving here?
Najee Harris. I think in like if like I'm still got one pick left, but
Okay.
Najee Harris is definitely one of my guys too.
So
And Justin Ross. I noticed. I was just looking at my player exposure last night. I've done two $20 drafts today.
Yeah.
I don't think I took Ross in either of them, but last night, 5 out of my 8 $20 drafts, I had taken Justin Ross. So he's kind of a late round guy, just a random Chiefs lottery ticket that I like.
So Al Boogie does not like Najee. I think personally I think Najee's a better redraft pick than a best ball pick. I think he's going to be pretty consistent for the most part. But I love Jaylen Warren. That might be one of my guys. But otherwise, I'll give you one at each position. I think for quarterback, I am smitten on Justin Herbert. The dude's being drafted as the 5th or 6th QB off the board. I think he's throwing for 5,000 yards. He could lead the league in touchdowns. Everything in the Chargers camp, you just see freaking Herbert just lobbing bombs to whoever it is downfield. That'd be my guy at QB. I think for running back, I think it's Tony Pollard. The dude was RB8 last year, and Ezekiel Elliott had over 250 touches, which is just obscene. Tony Pollard's going to get as much work as he can handle, and we know he's really good with the football. So Tony Pollard's my running back. Wide receiver, that gets a little tougher because there's just like a bajillion options, right? So at receiver, I will give you – it's Chris Olave. Chris Olave is really freaking good. Ended round 2 in a redraft. You can get him early round 3 with your casual leagues. Olave is a top 10, top 12 fantasy receiver. And then tight end, give me Dallas Goedert all day. Dallas Goedert is the dude. He is going to he's a flirt for 1,000 yards passing or receiving this year. So I'll just say that. But those are my dudes. John, let's take us through your team here, man. How did we do?
Yeah, it's not bad. I like I said, Chargers, there are a couple teams I think are vying for number 1 offense in the league, and I definitely think Chargers are one of them. So I think that's kind of where I start my team. I think I have a foundation of the Chargers passing attack with Herbert, Keenan Allen, and Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston, just a giant human being. Hoping he makes some noise. He seems like one of those guys that is kind of a perfect best ball type player, but who knows? He is a rookie, so we'll see what happens there. McCaffrey, Akers, Robinson, I think round out a pretty, strong, there's at least 2 starters there every week, theoretically, unless one of those guys get hurt. Bigsby, Rashawn, and even Malik Davis is my 20th round flyer. I think those are all guys that have upside in the second half of the season where if one of my 3 guys goes down, maybe one of these 3 guys can pick up the slack in the second half of the year. My receiving room, I think, is really strong. I love T. Higgins. I love Keenan Allen. I love Christian Kirk. I'm maybe not obsessed with Quentin Johnson, but, like I said, I wanted that Chargers stack. Really love Nico. He's one of my guys for sure. Really like Zay Jones. Really like Tank Dell. Really like Calvin Austin, specifically, where they're, the value you get with those guys. And then tight ends, I have I think this is maybe my first time taking Higbee this year. Certainly the first time in a $20. Just kind of switching it up. I got sniped. Like I mentioned, I got sniped on Freiermuth. I got sniped on Schultz. So this Higbee just kind of was the guy at the later round. I really like Chig, and Musgrave is also one of my guys. So I really like my, the depth of my tight end room, but it's definitely my weakest position at the same time. But
it's tight end.
Yeah, 100%. It should be your weakest position, right? So,
John, every draft I've done lately, I don't take a tight end until the double-digit rounds, and you can pull it off. This is doable. At this point, you're just hoping for 8 to 10 points as a floor. One of these guys will do something, but I think you have enough here to get where you need to go.
I feel good about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a look at Al Boogie 78. It's his first $20 draft. QBs, well, first of all, his construction's a 2-5-10-3, so he goes heavy wide receiver. Justin Fields, Matthew Stafford, that should be enough to get him where he needs to go. His running backs are Henry, Dalvin Cook, Jerick McKinnon, Devin Singletary, Jerome Ford. His receivers are Cooper Kupp, Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore, Marquise Brown, Treylon Burks, Boyd, Rice, Slayton, Claypool, and Tutu Atwell. And then the tight ends, Kyle Pitts, Hunter Henry, Noah Fant. It's a very deep team. I think the tight end points are covered. You get the high upside in Kyle Pitts, but if Kyle Pitts doesn't work out, I think you covered your bases well with Hunter Henry and Noah Fant. QB is enough to go. I think obviously receiver, you went 10 deep here. You got enough guys to start 3 or 4 receivers every week. But between Henry, Dalvin Cook, McKinnon, Singletary, Jerome Ford, we're betting on Dalvin Cook here, which, John, I'm not sure where your thoughts are on Dalvin Cook, but obviously as long as Henry's healthy, you got a running back 1, and then essentially you just need one of these guys to score RB2 points. What do we think about this running back group, John?
Yeah, I like it. I think Henry, like I mentioned, is one of those guys. I often want to draft. I feel like there's a receiver typically that I need to take more in the second and in the beginning of the third if he falls.
Yeah.
I think Dalvin Cook definitely has the pedigree of a RB1. So, he might be one of these guys that could win people leagues this year because, we're not necessarily giving him the respect he reserves in ADP. Yeah. He took him right at ADP, so he got him at solid value. Personally, I really like McKinnon. I actually think McKinnon, he showed it in the fantasy playoffs last year for redraft, but I think, which is also useful for best ball, right? He had huge games at the end of the season. Think he's going to be way more involved in the offense to start. And I'm a big Singletary guy. I mentioned I like the Houston offense more than most. I've taken a lot of Pierce and a lot of Singletary in other leagues. So, I would have maybe tried to get one more running back, but I like the group.
He did grab Tutu was his one of his final picks, and he grabbed Noah Fant to be a tight end 3. But he did complete a nice Matthew Stafford LA Rams stack with Cooper Kupp, Tutu.
I love the Tutu.
Tutu's a guy that you want on your teams in best ball. But I think the recipe there is it's there for running back. Obviously, Derrick Henry, we need him to stay healthy. But Dalvin Cook is the guy that you need the first 2 months to be your RB2. You're going to get Jerick McKinnon, popping in out of the lineup. And then you got some like back pocket bullets in Singletary and Jerome Ford. If anything happens to Chubb, Dameon Pierce, this team all of a sudden rises to the top. So I'm okay knowing what my weakness is after a draft. But overall, you got all the other answers covered. We just got to get the running backs to figure it out. And
you can make a good argument that's the best receiving group in the entire draft. I think I haven't looked at every team thoroughly, but I think it's probably the best receiving group in the entire draft.
Where it looks like Al got stuck. Like he kept buying receivers that fell in ADP, so he kind of got stuck in that track. Especially Rashee Rice 6 picks after ADP. Darius Slayton, 11 picks. He kind of kept getting these guys to fall to him. So you got to take what you get every time here. But I think Al did a pretty decent job. And then I drafted in the 12 spot here. We got Captain Geno Smith, Derek Carr, and wild card Kyler Murray. Which Kyler Murray, 22 picks after ADP, my man.
That's great. No, it's awesome value. And I like Kyler. You've got you lit the torch.
That's the thing is I don't need Kyler, but we completed a Cardinals stack.
You took my Dortch notes to heart.
That was the last pick of the draft. At that point, he was all that the Cardinals had left. I tried tanking for Trey McBride, but we couldn't do it. But I feel good about Geno. If Geno's a top 10 QB, this team's got a chance. Derek Carr is going to be my backup, which is fine. Kyler Murray is just a little cherry on top, a little short cherry with a sports bra on top. But otherwise, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre, Montgomery, that feels like a very formidable trio. And then I do have Charbonnet, Gainwell, and Latavius Murray, Old Man Murray back in my back pocket. Receiver room feels all right. A.J. Brown, Lamb, Najigba, Lockett, Cooks, Gallup. We got literally all 3 Dallas receivers, and then we got a little touch of Arizona in here. Michael Wilson, George. Have you seen What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
Okay. There's a scene from there where they go Tucson, Arizona. So I just have that stuck in my head whenever I see Arizona. But otherwise, Jake Ferguson, Juwan Johnson, and Taysom Hill. And screw you, man, that took Dak Prescott, because this team would have been so sexy with Dak Prescott, but I got literally every single Dallas Cowboy on here. So this was fun. Any thoughts, John?
I love my team. I think my team really has some legs.
You feel 300K richer?
Maybe not quite that, but I feel like that my team could cash out a little bit. I need a little luck at tight end and a little luck at my receiver 3, but outside of that, I think I'm in good shape.
Yeah, like Al Boogie says there, if I get a top 10 season out of Geno Smith, this team's cooking. And dude, I really like the Saints. The Saints have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL this year. I think, Al, if you're going to continue to do these $20 contests, the Saints, man, very, very stackable. The Texans are stackable. The Steelers, obviously, the first like 4, 5, 6 picks. That's gonna be like your correlated main stack. But these secondary, like you need at least 2, if not 3 stacks to make this thing go all the way. So I like what you did there. Chase is asking who you like more. It's between Bijan or Kelsey 107. John, bullet to your head, gun to your head.
Oh, it's so brutal. I mean, I think I'll go Kelsey and then maybe try to grab Mahomes on the way around. I love that kind of stack, but I don't really think you can go wrong. I also love Bijan.
Yeah, and then basically he says he knows he's going to get one of – you're not going to get JJ. You're not going to get CMC. You're not going to get Chase. But Eckler, Kelsey, Hill, Kupp, you're getting one of those guys. And people forget, man, Cooper Kupp was the number 1 fantasy player before he got injured last year. So don't sleep on Cooper Kupp. I think the Rams – John, can you name one player on their defense not named Aaron Donald?
No.
Rams defense is going to be bad. It's going to be bad. And Matthew Stafford might have to throw 40 times a game. So if Stafford's throwing 40 times a game, how many times does Cooper Kupp get a target?
He probably gets, a third of the targets at minimum. So,
and I like what Kelsey's a hard guy to draft in best ball, John. I don't know what your exposure is to Kelsey. I'm trying to be at 8% because that's market. But when I take Kelsey, I tend to lean into the Mahomes Kelsey stack.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of one of the things I try to do with that. I do really like the Chiefs offense, kind of like, I think the Chiefs, Chargers, those are 2 offenses I would try to lean into as much as I can in best ball.
Yeah.
So if you feel confident that you can get Kelsey and then Mahomes, that's a lot of fun. But, we've talked about it too. You've mentioned this to me many times, and it always rings out in my head as a great argument in the pro Kelsey column. Like, you're just getting that 100-point advantage at the tight end position, essentially. Yeah. I don't know. When you think about it like that, and obviously he's a little older. I mean, yeah, you need him to stay healthy, but that's the truth of any first-round pick, right? So it's just like
maybe it's not 100 points this year,
but it's a massive position advantage either way.
I'll tell you what, 5 points per game over Mark Andrews is 85 points.
Right.
That could be what it is. So I think there's merit to taking Kelsey. I want to have Kelsey shares, but I don't want to be overexposed. He's a 34-year-old tight end. It's going to end at some point. So, John, any final thoughts before we get out of here? This was fun.
I want to do more best ball drafts.
We got to get them in this weekend. It's drafters is they're making a lot of money this weekend. They're filling up their contests left and right. So
I'm definitely going to get 5 $20 guys in before Sunday, so I can get the free $20.
Especially, I don't know if you saw that, Al, but they're doing a promo this weekend where if you draft 5 million tickets or 5 of the million tickets, you're gonna get a free one on Monday next week. So basically, $100 to get a free 20 ticket, all that good stuff. But either way, that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. Thank you for hanging out. It was nice to meet you, Al. Hopefully, we see you in those best ball streets again. And yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out. Go enjoy some preseason football. Peace.